no, not at all. Now I look back on childhood and I can see certain things that make sense. I think what was really evident for me was I was empathic. I had a really high level of feeling. I had strong emotional reactions to things which weren't always convenient. I remember as a kid, now I understand that I was able to read feelings with people. So if someone was saying to me, I really like you, Lee, but I could tell that they didn't, it was easy for me to feel that. And I think that's probably what gave me a tricky childhood in a way. I think a lot of my own identity, dysmorphia, discomfort came from not quite understanding how I was perceiving the world. But the intuitive stuff kicked in when I was late teens. I used to love going for tarot readings. A friend introduced me to them about the age of 14, 15, and something in my body would know that this was a true experience. Something would light up and something would crackle, and I'd be like, oh, this stuff is on. There's an unseen world here, and I was really hungry for it at the time. So I then bought a deck of tarot cards and would give readings to friends, and I never learnt the cards. Far too undisciplined to actually sit with the book and learn the cards. But I would put the cards down, and I had some really mind-blowing experiences with some of those people, because there were things about them and their life I didn't know. And they were coming out my mouth in these readings, and the people were like this. So it was slow. It dawned on me very slowly. And I also had a belief that to be intuitive was special or otherworldly, and therefore I could never be intuitive, because surely only magical or mystical people had that. And of course my truth is we're all magical and mystical if we're connected to this magical, mystical universe. It's just we've not been trained or invited to see it, to see the world that way, feel the world that way. So intuition took me time to accept, but once I did, everything got better, and I started to acknowledge this part of me that was actually a real guiding force in my life. They communicate with me, I hear them. I have had a few visuals of them. They were very, very tall, like taller than huge trees. But I don't think the visual is really my strong suit. My strong suit is the auditory. And they speak to me, and occasionally they will speak to me without prompting. But it's a relationship whereby if I want to talk to them, I just direct my attention here. So, I'm talking to you. Maybe if there's something weird in the conversation between you and I, or if I'm wondering what's going on with you, I could just go, is he okay? And they'll give me an answer, and it will help. It will widen my understanding. They call themselves, well, I call them the Z's, because I said, do you have a name? And they were like, well, we don't have names, but we know that humans need names and like names. So you can call me Zachary. I'm the lead spokesperson. And then a few years into being a public channeler and just channeling Zachary, one weekend, Zaphariah and Zayadora were presented. So again, these names, these Z's. And they presented and they said, you would know us more as feminine energy. And so that was challenging to kind of then publicly present feminine channeled energy. And as a man, I felt like, oh, is this okay? I would understand if some women were pissed off about that. I get it. So it was a really interesting time. And then they all just kind of morphed together again after about 3 years. And they said why. They said, it's a time where feminine and masculine is joining. It's been good for you to do this. Now we're going to bring it back together, and we're a council. We're called the Z's, and they call themselves a voice of galactic source. They say that we're not just earth angels. We're connected galactically to everything, and think of us as a consciousness library. So rather than being specific entities, they say we're a consciousness library. We're a collective of 88 beings that extend wider into source. And honestly, for me, I kind of caution people against too much interest in that level of detail. The acid test is always, does it work for you? Does it feel right for you? Is it useful for you? Whether that's with my channeling or with anything on the planet in any realm. the acid test is, does it do something positive for us?